Okay. Well, let me talk to you from the heart. You've all just said that January is just another month. And that's definitely, after all these years, how I'd like to think that I approached it. So I made some notes to share with you about how I run Coalesco and what I've done over the years that I think has benefited me and the team in December and January. So if I could just take 5 minutes of your time to share those with you, then you can see if they apply to your practice or if there's any snippets there that help you. I certainly don't run my business to look for a badge of honor that I come to work for 100-hour weeks during the month of January. I'm so simple girl. I want to do my job, do it well, go home, see my friends and make my gym classes. And I would always say to you that you need to think about what you will accept in your practice and your business. Remember what your values are, why you set up and what you're trying to achieve personally. I use every touch point with clients and encourage my team to do so, to request information from them relating to their tax return. And we can all see it on our practice management system what self-assessment tax returns are outstanding. So very much from September each year, when we make contact with a client or a client, for example, rings us with a query, we remind them about their self-assessment tax return and the deadline and the information that we require from them. We send out a monthly client newsletter with information or ad hoc newsletters relating to the mini budget as an example. And we have a countdown clock on it, but that countdown clock is to our internal deadline. So we request information from our clients regularly, and I don't think we should be embarrassed to do that. We give real life examples of horror stories and good stories as to why a client should be preparing their self-assessment tax return earlier and why they should know their payment. And we keep updating those stories with real life things that are happening at Coalesco. Certainly with SEISS as an example, some people had bills that they've never seen before, or other people had losses and were scared of bills that actually didn't exist. We tend not to complete limited company accounts in isolation to self-assessment throughout the year. We look at the entity and the shareholders and their family members as one, and we work to encourage one sign-off with our clients. What this means is that clients have got into that routine of when they bring their limited company accounts with them, they also provide us with the information to complete their self-assessment tax return. We set our internal deadline for the receipt of information each year to the 31st of October. That goes out in our initial service proposal to our clients. So this communication is there in black and white from day one, and that's how our relationship starts. It then goes into our service level agreement that we put in place with each of our clients. It does mean that those clients that we work with that are professional and understand deadlines in their day-to-day life adhere to them in our experience. We look to complete all of our year-end accounts that are due on the 31st of December and the 31st of January by the 31st of October each year. All this aims to do is to remove the pressures of having those two additional deadlines during the 2 months of trying to complete self-assessment tax returns. In the month of November, we actually make a telephone call to every client who's failed to deliver their information to us by our internal deadline of the 31st of October. In our experience, this works out to about 12 calls per day, and 2 of us make those calls. They're not long calls, and we time block that time in our diaries for that month. And this is where our relationship tends to get a little bit more personal with our clients, because we're looking to understand why they haven't delivered that information to us. Sometimes, let's be honest, the client's just waiting for the prompt. They're waiting for that voice. And that does mean that we get the information from them that we need. If they agree on that telephone call to a date to deliver that information to us, we task list that date for follow-up if they don't adhere to that deadline as well. So all the time we're building that relationship with the client and understanding. Of course, we get the excuses just like everybody else does as to why people can't meet deadlines. And if there's personal reasons, if there's illness in the family, as an example, then we do agree to those extensions. We're human. We want to work with those clients, don't we? But it means that we can start to understand what resources we will be needing for January, and those people that are going to be delivering that information to us later. If somebody says that they're missing a couple of pieces of information, then we look to understand what those pieces of information are. So much is available to us nowadays, such as, I don't know, state pension information. So something that they're waiting on could mean that we could actually complete their tax return or complete 80% of it. None of us like to pick up a job and put it down. I appreciate that completely. But over the years, we've done things as build relationships with people's IFAs, so we can get their investment information directly from them. We've also used, over the last 2 years, with those scary words of MTD, that telephone call, certainly with our sole trader clients, to start talking about software, where they're saying, oh, everything's just still in a carrier bag. So we are looking all the time during those calls to see what we can do to help in future years. We all have tricky clients. I could probably write you a list of my predicted 10 lost clients, and they'll be the same. 7 of them will probably be the same as they were back in the 2008 tax season. Some people we just don't win with, but why do we have a battle with them? Sometimes it's personal, but over the years, I've been quite open and honest, and I've explained to people that I'm human. And I do reason with people, and I quite often get a positive response by being open. And in January, nobody gets the best from me. I become a little bit of a robot, and seeing me in January means that you're just getting a compliance job from me. But I'm careful with my sign-off meetings and my time in January. And if clients start to discuss their business and growth plans and tax planning points, I do cut those meetings off and arrange those and schedule those for February to make sure I've got more time to continue with the compliance work. Don't take all the pressure on yourself, and make sure that you're communicating with your staff as to how things are going. From the first week of October, we have a weekly meeting internally, and we look at what numbers are outstanding. We compare that with year on year, and we look to understand what we need to sign off in the week that's coming to keep on track or push on. I've very much created a culture where everybody is in this together. I don't feel it's just my responsibility, and I don't think you should either. There are other deadlines that matter during December and January: payroll, VAT. These clients are compliant and they're doing exactly what you ask them to do. So don't treat them poorly during that period. Remember about your customer service, and it's not their fault that we're busy because of other people not completing their self-assessment tax return. So make sure that the team have always got time to be delivering through their diaries, things that we're, responsible for doing for clients. By way of new client inquiries that we receive in January, leopards don't change their spots in my experience. Some people just work to deadline, and they will always be the client that walks through the door on the 29th of January, complains about their fee, maybe doesn't pay us. And if we take them on the 29th of January, the likelihood of them coming back to us the next year is sometimes quite slim, to be honest. But do follow up client leads that come through to you in January, because a lot of people do start up or look to change accountant in January, and they've made a New Year's resolution, gone back to work with their list, and one of them is to change an accountant. So it's really important that we look at our business and that business development during January. Finally, please do take Christmas off. January feels so much better if you've had a break. Look after your mental health and your physical health. So meditate, play fantastic music in the office, go out, get fresh air, walk during your team meeting, make a client telephone call on a walk so you get fresh air. Eat well, avoid alcohol, maybe even avoid drugs, I don't know. And just wake up blessed about your business, and be thankful for what you have each day. call a friend or a family member or the tax calc helpline if you're really struggling. And go pet your dog, hug a tree. Our offices are near Willerton Park, so I go and hug a tree quite frequently. And on the 1st of February, have the day off. Make sure your team have a break as well and do something really fantastic on that day. But then when you return in February, make sure that you have a team meeting and you seek their ideas and look at things that you could do better next year, or how you could change processes or allocate your resources differently. So if it has been a weaker period, you don't go through it again. Thank you.